If you've ever bought wood at Home Depot, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's heavy, soaked, and it twisted as soon as you turned your back. The cracks split open, the beams twisted like the shells of peas. But here's the paradox. Despite being hated, contractors still load it onto their trucks every day, not just occasionally, but used for every project. So what's happening? Why does a material with so many issues become the standard for the entire construction industry? Are they being deceived, or are we using it incorrectly? Today, we will uncover the truth about treated lumber, pressure-treated wood. Why has such a seriously flawed structural material become the standard in the construction industry? The answer will completely change the way you look at the pile of wood at Home Depot. If you've ever bought this type of wood, you don't need anyone to explain further. You pull a plank off the shelf and what is the first feeling? Heavy, damp, cold. Not the kind of dampness that's just a bit, but it's the kind as if just pulled out of the water. Some people even joked you're not buying wood, you're buying a sponge that can stand, and that's where the problem starts. You bring it home, cut, assemble. Everything seemed fine for the first few days. Then it started, curved, twisted, off, like a noodle twisted too tightly. There are bars that look straight when bought, but a few weeks later they bend like an S. And this is the most annoying part. You can't control it. It's not that you did something wrong. It's not that you used the wrong tool. It just does whatever it wants. People in the trade have a very true saying. Wood that hasn't dried is wood that hasn't finished its story. Sounds simple, but the price to pay is not small at all. One person shared I had to replace nearly half of the deck after 10 years. Another person, it looks fine until it doesn't anymore. That's the problem. It's not that it breaks immediately, but it breaks slowly. It breaks silently, like a time bomb. But without a countdown timer, you don't know when it will crack, don't know when it will rot. Just know that sooner or later it will come. And if you think this is a rare occurrence, no. This is something that almost everyone who makes a deck has encountered. But the strange thing is, people are not surprised. They just accept it. Like, yeah, it's outdoor wood. That's just how it is. That's when you should start asking questions. If everyone knows there's a problem, why isn't anyone changing it? In other words, are we enduring a problem? That shouldn't even exist. If you see yourself in this story, you are not the only one. And if you want to understand what is really happening behind the scenes, you should stay. You can subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the things that the industry often doesn't mention, because the next part will completely overturn what you think you know about this type of wood. All right, take a deep breath, because this truth might make you feel like you've just been led by the nose at the checkout. Do you think that the treated lumber at Home Depot being soaked is due to improper storage? Is it because of the rain or because the warehouse staff forgot to cover it? Completely wrong. The truth is, treated wood is not accidentally wet. It is designed to always be in a saturated state. Imagine this. The pressure treatment process is not like painting a protective layer on the surface. It's like deliberately acting on a piece of wood. They cram the pine logs into a gigantic pressure chamber, sucking all the air out of the wood cells, creating a starving vacuum. Then they pump a mixture of chemicals and water into it under extremely high pressure. It's like trying to force a sponge to absorb an amount of water twice its size. What is the result? When you pick up that piece of wood at the store, you are holding a block full of chemicals. It is heavy because it is saturated. And here's the crux. The manufacturers don't even bother drying it before putting it on the market. Why incur the extra drying costs when they can sell you that soggy pile directly and let the sun do the rest of the work? There is a saying in the construction industry, pressure-treated wood is the only material you pay for wood, but mostly get water in return. The irony lies in the fact that the very chemical solution that protects it from termites is also its greatest enemy, destroying its appearance. You know, we often blame the poor quality of the wood, but let's be fair. The real problem doesn't start when it's wet. The real nightmare only begins when it starts to dry. Imagine the wood cells, once plump with water, suddenly drained under the 40-degree sun. It is a contraction full of violence and chaos. Do you believe that you can control a material that is born to deform? Don't rush to answer. Leave your opinion in the comments. Do you choose fresh wood and handle it yourself, or do you accept the gamble with this wet wood? And if you don't want to see your heartfelt project turn into a mess after a few months, don't take your eyes off the screen, because right now we are about to enter the most dangerous zone. So have you ever wondered what really happens? When it starts to dry, this is when all the trouble begins. When you buy it, the wooden plank is in a water-saturated state, almost saturated. But wood is not plastic. It is a living material, and living materials are always changing. When the water evaporates, the wood shrinks. But the problem is it doesn't shrink evenly. Imagine you are drying a sponge. The surface dries first. The inside dries later. Now replace that sponge with a 3-meter-long wooden beam, and you're using it to bear the load. Do you start to see the problem? One side shrinks faster than the other, causing the wood to warp. One edge dries first, the wood twists. The outer part shrinks, the inner part retains moisture, and then cracks. It's not a possibility, but it is almost certain to happen. That's why you see the wooden planks straight today, but bent like a question mark next week. And here's the point. Many people don't realize you're not just building a deck. You are building while the materials are still changing shape every day. There is a very straightforward principle in the industry. You cannot control wood. You can only predict it. Sounds philosophical, but in reality, it's quite painful. Because if the moisture content in the wood is above about 20%, it is still in an unstable state. But most of the wood you buy at the store usually above that level. The better type, KDAT, is dried down to about 19%. More stable, less distortion, but you know it's rare and expensive. So most people are working with something not yet ready to be fixed. That's why the screw is misaligned. The surface is no longer smooth. The gaps appear after a few months, not due to poor craftsmanship, but because the materials are playing their own game. There is a rather sarcastic saying among craftsmen, you don't finish the project. Wood will finish it in its own way. Sounds funny, but it's also a bit concerning. So the question arises, if this is the nature of the material, why do we continue to use it as if it were stable? This is when the story starts to get more interesting. In the next part, we will talk about a very clear paradox. Why is something that causes so many problems also irreplaceable? If you like the way I peel back what seems obvious, you can subscribe to the channel. The next part will have even more to discuss. At this point, there is a detail that very few outsiders actually notice. This type of wood hasn't always been like it is now. Around the early 2000s, specifically around 2004, this industry underwent a major change. They changed the treatment formula. Previously, the wood was treated with a stronger chemical CCA, very effective, but also raises concerns about the environment and health. And then, like many other industries, they switched to safer solutions. It sounds like a step forward, but as the saying goes, every solution comes with a new problem. The new formula? Less toxic. But it is also not as durable as before under certain conditions. And this is where the controversy begins. There was a period around 2009 to 2015 when many people in the industry began to notice something was off. The deck deteriorated earlier than expected. Joists rot faster than usual, not after 20 to 30 years, but only after 5 to 10 years. Does it sound familiar? Many people, when faced with this situation, think, where did I go wrong? But the right question might be, is it possible that the material is not what we thought? Some reports indicate that there were batches of wood during that period treated with a formula not truly optimal. It's not a clear mistake, but it's the kind of problem that only reveals itself after many years, like an item that looks perfect when bought but deteriorates faster than usual. And the noteworthy thing is the builders at that time had no idea. They followed the correct procedures, used the right materials, but the result was not as expected. So if you've ever had a deck that flopped, maybe it wasn't entirely your fault. Of course, not everything is bad. The industry has adjusted. Manufacturers have also improved their processes over time. But this story leaves a rather big question. How well do we really understand the materials we are using? And if the quality can change at each stage, is it still reasonable to trust by default? What do you think? Is this an inevitable progress or an undisclosed trade-off? In the next section, we will return to the biggest question. If there are so many issues, why does the entire industry continue to rely on it? If you enjoy perspectives that turn issues on their head like this, you can follow the channel. There are many things behind the construction industry that not everyone talks about. So the million-dollar question here is, if it's that bad, why do we all, from the old craftsman with 30 years of experience to the weekend DIY guy, keep throwing money at it? Why don't we just throw it away and use something kinder? Short answer: because out there is a battlefield full of bacteria mold and hungry termites. You might hate its warping, you might be annoyed by its soaking, but try sticking a regular piece of wood into the ground. In less than 2 years, it will turn into a pile of rotten mulch. Meanwhile, treated lumber with all its roughness still stands strong. Its rot resistance is not an aesthetic choice, it is a survival calculation. Look at the building codes. For positions that come into direct contact with the ground or outdoor frames, the law does not care whether you find it ugly or beautiful. They force you to use it. It's like taking a bitter medicine to cure an illness. You hate its taste, but without it, the system will collapse. This is the most ironic contrast. It is the worst wood to work with, but the most essential to use. The contractors have no love for this wood. They don't cherish it. They simply don't have a better option at that price. Cheap things are bad. People often say that. But with treated lumber, it's the only rotten thing that protects your wallet from having to redo the entire deck every 3 years. This is a forced marriage between performance and disappointment. Are you willing to make this trade-off, or are you willing to spend 5 times more money to buy teak or composite wood? Please leave a line to share your opinion in the comments section. But wait, the disappointment doesn't just come from the nature of the wood. Sometimes we are the ones who ruin our own projects with the silliest mistakes. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because in the next part I will show you how to avoid turning your expensive wood pile into dry firewood in just 1 summer. This is where everything starts to become clearer. Not all problems come from the material. A lot of it comes from how we use it. Or to put it more bluntly, this is where most people go wrong. The first and most common mistake: installing when the wood is still wet. You buy it, see it's still beautiful, still straight, and think, let's just finish it. Sounds reasonable. But in reality, it's like you're building a house on unstable ground. When it dries, everything starts to shift. The second mistake: not treating the cut end. Every time you cut wood, you are opening a gateway for water to penetrate. Not treating it again. It's like wearing a raincoat, but leaving the collar open. Water still gets in, and it will stay there longer than you think. The third mistake: not controlling humidity. Many people think it's normal for outdoor wood to be damp. That's right, but not all humidity levels are the same. There is a significant difference between stable humidity and changing humidity, and it is that very change that disrupts the structure. Fourth mistake: using it in the wrong place. Not every place needs treated wood, but many people use it for everything. It's like using an off-road vehicle to drive on the street. It works, but it's not the optimal choice. There's a pretty straightforward saying in the profession: wrong material, wrong context, rarely a good outcome. And here's something to think about. Most of these mistakes do not come from a lack of skill, but from incorrect assumptions. Assuming that wood is wood, just use it the same way. But this type of wood is not normal. You can't treat it like dry, stable wood. So the question is, if we avoid these mistakes, will things really be different, or is the material itself still the issue? In the next section, we will see how professionals actually handle this type of wood. If you find yourself having made one of these mistakes, you're not the only one. And if you want to avoid more costly mistakes, you can follow the channel. The next part will be very practical. So why is it that the same lousy pile of wood from Home Depot, but the work of a seasoned contractor stands firm for 30 years while your deck starts to dance after just 1 summer? The difference is not in the wood. It lies in how you treat it. The first secret of the old foxes in the construction industry is very simple, but requires extreme patience. Let the wood dry. They never buy wood and use it immediately. They stack them, insert small wooden sticks in between to create gaps sticking, and let them breathe for a few weeks. If you have a budget, they won't even glance at the pile of wet wood but head straight to the KDAT area, the type of wood that has been kiln dried after treatment. It's more expensive, but that's the price to pay for peace of mind and straight cuts. Next, take a look at their toolbox. There is always a can of end-cut sealer. Whenever the saw blade descends, they immediately brush a layer of sealant onto the exposed wood. They understand that a small mistake can lead to a big disaster. An untreated piece of wood is an open invitation for termites to feast. And finally, let's talk about ventilation. Good craftsmen never let the wood be sealed off. They design an excellent drainage and airflow system beneath the floor because they know the greatest enemy of treated lumber is not water but stagnant water. The philosophy here is very clear. You cannot change the nature of the wood, but you can control its environment. By now, you might be thinking you understand everything about this troublesome wood, right? Don't be hasty. There is a final twist about its existence that you might never have expected. If you find these techniques helpful for your upcoming project, click subscribe now so we can build things that stand the test of time together. After all the complaints, the times the wood twisted, and the toxic chemicals, there is a stark truth that we must acknowledge. We call treated lumber the worst wood at Home Depot. But ask yourself, why does it still stand there year after year, occupying the central position in every hardware store? The twist here is, treated lumber is not a defective product. It is an economic achievement. It exists not to become the best type of wood, but to become a type of wood just good enough at a price that the majority of us can afford. If it weren't for the appearance of these cheap, chemically treated pine boards, owning a deck or a wooden fence would become a luxury pastime reserved for the upper class. There is a pragmatic philosophy in business. The enemy of good enough is best. Treated lumber is a great compromise. It allows us to build faster, cheaper, and more widely. It accepts being hated, being scolded for its warping as long as it quietly fulfills its mission, keeping your house from collapsing under nature at the lowest possible cost. So the next time you stand in the lumber aisle of Home Depot and feel frustrated by a soaked beam, just smile. Because that very frustrating material is the reason you can start your project today instead of saving for another 10 years. The paradox of treated lumber is also the paradox of the modern world. We depend on the very things we never stop complaining about. Thank you for accompanying me on this journey of unraveling the most controversial wood in the construction world. Don't forget to leave your opinion. Will you remain loyal to treated lumber? Or do you plan to part ways with it? If this video helps you understand more about the hidden aspects of building materials and saves you thousands of dollars on future projects, please support us by subscribing to the channel and turning on the notification bell. Each interaction from you is the motivation for us to continue conducting deeper investigations into things that are very familiar yet full of secrets around us. Don't forget to leave your comments in the section below. I read all of them. This video is made for informational and educational purposes based on real-life experiences and specialized documents. We do not represent any retail brands or manufacturers. Construction work always carries safety and technical risks. Therefore, we advise you to always consult with certified local engineers or experts and comply with labor safety regulations before undertaking any project. We are not responsible for any damages arising from the application of information in this video without professional supervision. Thank you for watching until the end. See you in the next videos.